Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. This is the weekly landscape update video that I do for this house that I moved into in the late fall or early winter of last year. There's a playlist on my channel called New House if you would like to catch up and be up to date with where I'm at right now. As you saw from the beginning of the video, I've had the drone up this week again, like I did early on when I was first laying out all the bed spaces here, if you want to go back and watch those videos. But in a minute, I'm going to talk through kind of where I'm at with the drone above me. You'll see that in just a minute. Got quite a bit more planting done this week. I actually got lots more of the annuals and perennials that I had done from seed are now in the ground. I planted a Shining Sensation Weigela over here. It's quite beautiful. It's a Southern Living Plant Collection piece that you'll see the video on soon for that. I planted another dwarf camellia over there, gold Weigela over here, and a variegated hydrangea paniculata that should look great with these white wedding paniculatas here. Several other things went in the ground as well. I had said I'd do a full walkthrough this week, but I think I'm just going to stick to the drone up above my head and show you just kind of where the layout is. And then next week, walk through everything because I still have some things that need to go in the ground. It's supposed to be 38 degrees one night here this week, so I'm sure that those of you who are north of me are going to probably have frost and freezes and all those terrible things, and we're well into May now, so that's kind of tragic. And I've got my tomatoes in the ground and other things. And 38's not going to hurt them, but it's certainly not going to be their favorite night, that's for sure. I consider covering them, but tomatoes are a little bit I may end up doing more damage than not, so I'll probably just leave them be. What else is going on? I got the big tree down out of the yard. That's another thing you saw at the beginning of the video. I hired a crew to do that. I actually also had them come up here and take a couple limbs off this oak that's behind me here, and there's some ivy growing in that tree too. And I went down to the bottom and cut that. So it's going to be raining leaves on me soon, but I had a couple limbs hanging out on this tree that were way out into the yard and were casting more shade here than I'd like. There's still shade toward the back, but maybe buys an extra hour every day of sunshine. Soil Cube sent me 2 bags of compost so I can get started on the front yard project. You know, in the back here, the siding has been replaced and it's now blue. The rest of the aluminum siding is coming off of this house, and it will all be new hardy plank siding and be that same blue color that the back of the house is here. And so I'm going to put a front porch across this entire house. That may not happen for another year or so, just because I have so many other projects going on and other things planned. And so for now, I'm going to take that that overhang on the porch. I'm going to take it down, power wash it, repaint it. I'm going to do the same thing with the porch rail. I'm going to power wash the steps and paint those and try to get all of it looking new. The purple door will possibly be replaced or definitely be painted to match the new blue color that I'm using here. Possibly that slightly darker blue that I used on the building over here will be mixed into that somehow or another. You know, when I do these weekly videos every Wednesday, I think between now and then you'll see an extra video, and it's going to be a drone video for the front yard where I'm going to walk through how I'm going to landscape that space. It'll eventually be no lawn whatsoever, but in the short term, I'm just going to do 2 sides of it as bed space, and eventually that'll just fill in toward the middle. But for now, the middle part will remain turf. I'll explain all that in a video using the drone above my head between now and next week's weekly update video. So I think that's it for this week. I'm going to hold off on planting the rest of my peppers and okra and cucumbers and all of those things. I just haven't put them in over here yet, and I'm just going to wait for this 38-degree night to pass before I do. They're fine. They're in trays right here on the back steps, and they'll just go in the house overnight for that night. Another thing I'm going to do, I think, is make these steps larger back here. They don't really fit the scale of this. You know, you get toward the end of a project and you kind of rush through things occasionally, and I think those steps need to be 3 treads instead of 2. The bottom step is super narrow, and a couple people have pointed that out. That's not, there's a set of concrete steps under there that kind of determined how the steps would be laid out, and that step at the bottom was always super narrow. But this grass space I'm standing in is going to become a patio, and it's going to raise up some, and so that step will just be level at that point. So don't be concerned about Jim tripping over the 2-inch step forever. I've had that comment a few times, but that will be self-correcting as this project moves forward. And oh, I got the shade cloth for what will become the greenhouse back here in the corner. Stretched it out over the top, made sure it fit properly. I'm going to get some paint and get that painted very soon and start on that project as well. So again, thank you very much for following along with these weekly Wednesday updates. Next week, I'll do a more thorough walkthrough of plants that have gone in the ground. And I think at that point, I got the lumber out of the backyard as well. So I think at that point, this place is gonna look super clean and crispy finally, and I'll be able to shoot from whatever camera angle anytime I want to. So you can see the general layout from the drone, where the paths are gonna be. The paths are eventually gonna be stone, but they're pine straw right now. But you have this one that runs here. Of course, the porch has been all new. The roof on it is completely different than what was up there before. It was a flat roof. The turf area here is eventually gonna be some sort of patio integrated with a fire pit and seating area, that kind of thing. Like I say, the paths here, and they'll narrow in a little bit because plants are gonna grow and fill out. I don't want them to be perfectly straight, but I got that one that goes to the gate, to the side, to the driveway area. Of course, the vegetable garden's looking great. I'd really like to integrate the vegetables with everything else, but this is where all the good sun is. And so the vegetables are definitely congregating over here. There's been an herb garden planted here. Of course, the shed went in, if you followed along. This is all new here. This path right here is eventually going to tie to the new greenhouse here. And this metal frame will end up painted black and be a nice greenhouse. I got to run irrigation back there, electric back there. A lot of work to do on that, but this path right here is just going to go straight through here. When I started this project, there was a big tree here. The back corner back here was basically unusable. And the limbs back here were all the way out to here. So if you're looking down on me right now, I would have been under tree limbs. So all this has been cut back to here. Of course, this fence is being replaced. And there's about 3 feet behind this fence in this property. So this space will get larger back here. But you can see the basic layout, you know, where the turf area is gonna be the patio and the paths. And, you know, there's pieces everywhere now. There's, you know, there's shrubs and annuals and perennials and, you know, different heights. But you can see how far it's come in just a few months. And it looks pretty good back here, and I'm about to start on the front.